back to the bottom, 6 to go.
Makes a mistake again. He missed a shift. He's going to spin to the inside turn. He's going to take the lead.
Eli Hinton just got used up there in the hairpin. He's going to pick up a win after a long winless streak in Visit Victory Lane. And the whole field just needs to get himself slow down, hop these curves, up and over. There's that cannon running a tad wide. Great restart here for the 2 car, but also for the 48. He crosses him over, down into turn 1, there goes the tail. Here comes the 20 alongside. The 13 car gets turned. He's going to spin in turn 2.
Five races into the 2019 3WideRacing League YNZR Graphics Unreal Tour, we've been to restrictor plate tracks, we've been to short tracks, we've been to intermediates, we've been to dirt tracks, but one place we haven't been to yet, other than Watkins Glen back in race number 3, is a road course. Now we returned for our second road course of the season here in Montreal, Canada at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. My name is Kyle Heyer alongside Finney DeCuna for SimTV. Finney, and tonight we get to go road racing. Earlier today, Formula One had their Canadian Grand Prix. Tonight we take the NASCAR trucks out for 60 minutes of timed racing action at this 2.6 mile circuit. This place is famous, it's fast, and there's a lot of curbs and a lot of things to hit if you get it just a little bit wrong.
Yeah, Dean, you're probably thinking, why on earth have stock cars at Montreal? Well, a lot of people probably will. I think a lot of people should remember the Nationwide now Xfinity car is going to Montreal. Unfortunately, they don't go there anymore. But yeah, great. This has been a great track for those years that the Xfinity cars came to Montreal, and I'm expecting the trucks to put on a fantastic show. They are great at road course racing.
So we have 10 minutes of qualifying, 2 laps you get to take around here before you get yourself set up for the 60-minute race night. There's Cameron Rich in that brightly colored number 17 Chevrolet Silverado. Of course, the new Silverado here with an iRacing this week and forward. And as he comes down into the final chicane and heads out to the Wall of Champions, Finney, in that corner is so much fun bouncing over those curves, but it's so easy to get yourself in trouble here around the 2.6 mile Montreal circuit. What are some places, some trouble spots to look out for tonight?
I definitely think turn 1, especially on the restart, the left and right complex, very tight, very easy to go through in an open wheel car, but not so much in a stock car. Very slow and methodical. A lot of guys are going to find themselves getting close to each other, and definitely the hairpin. You want to make sure that you set up that corner just right, because you can easily mess that up and ruin your run down the straightaway.
Watching Cameron Rich right now working through the first of several chicanes around here. And Cameron Rich is one of the guys to watch. Remember last season, he won at Bathurst, the very first 3-wide race ever on SimTV. He won that race by a big margin. But another driver to watch out for is the Watkins Glen winner, the 38 of Robert Hill Jr. Won that race by a huge margin, and he self-proclaimed that he wasn't very good at road course racing. Well, we thought to disagree, and he was second in practice leading up to qualifying this evening. Rich working his way through the second chicane. A bit of a bobble there as he works his way off the corner. And again, the curb's something to keep an eye on. We didn't have to worry about him this tall at Watkins Glen. Relatively flat and smooth there, but very tall here, and they will prevent you from cutting that course. Also, course cuts, a lot bigger issue here than they were at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, speaking of Robert Hill, he's coming to start his first lap. Just completed his out lap. And he's getting ready to put a time down. Only 11 people put a time down, still waiting for everyone else to put one.
We're watching Cameron Rich on the back straightaway now, and right now you see on the left-hand side of your screen 165 miles an hour before jumping on the brakes for that chicane. Works his way through, bounces over the curbs quickly, methodically, out to the wall on corner exit, back to the start-finish line. He was quickest in practice. Where does he line up for the first of his 2 laps on the board? Looks like he'll come across the stripe, and it'll put him solidly in first place by 0.7 of a second. He goes for a second lap, a big jump over that red anti-cut curbing on the inside. Now that will give you a 1x if you cross over that, so keep in mind you don't want to go over that too much. Dave Hunt in the the 53 truck, he's out on course right now.
Yeah, also notably Velez, he's coming through the final chicane now. He's trying to complete his second lap. He's currently in second place, but 0.8 of a second behind Cameron Rich. He's going to try to improve.
Where will he come across the line this time? And this lap time was to be no record for him. He must have gone off track somewhere, so he is No time second lap. Another driver to watch out for tonight, the 54 of Matt Gruenberg, a brightly colored Nike truck here this evening. That's a gorgeous looking paint he's got on there. But he is our winner. He's won 2 of the first 6 races of the season, Finian. He is on a mission. Won last week at Eldora, and he's really, really good at road courses. We saw him run pretty decently at COTA last season when he was only running part-time. So this 54 truck, your current points leader, one to watch out for tonight. So where?
Yeah, I just saw.
Oh, go ahead. I was gonna say, where's the 38 truck? I don't see him out on track yet. Don't have a time recorded. I don't even see him on the timing screen. I gotta find him. Oh, there he is. He's out on track right now. Comes across for his first lap of 1:39.946. Good enough for pole at the moment. Where's Cameron Rich? He's working his way into the final chicane now.
Yeah, and Rich has got to improve by only about 200.
Oh, no.
Oh, and he absolutely eats the curbs there. Hits the wall. That's going to be no time for him.
Wow, so Robert Hill Jr., a great lap time, his first lap out. Cameron Rich is going to come to a stop. Let's actually talk to Cameron Rich right now. We'll pull him up in the booth and just have a quick little chat with the driver of the number 17 truck. And we'll see if we... I'm trying to see if we... There we go. We got Cameron now. Hey, Cameron, you got a copy?
Yeah, what's up?
Well, we just saw you qualify there. A bit of a bobble over the chicane in that last corner, but it looks like you're second for now. Robert Hill Jr., the Watkins Glen winner. Can you keep up with him for this race tonight?
Yeah, I think I have speed. I just need to... I think it's going to be a lot about negotiating traffic and stuff, so... You know, I had a bit of a problem with that at Watkins Glen, so hopefully I don't have that tonight.
And only your second start of the season, and that other start was at Watkins Glen. And you're just coming in here to run the fun stuff this season? Because this is honestly probably one of the races I'm looking most forward to. So just running the fun stuff this season or planning to run some more later on?
Well, I meant to be full-time, but I got suspended after Watkins Glen, so I didn't run that race. But yeah, I'm going to be full-time from here on out, barring anything extraneous happening. So, you know, it's a pretty fun schedule, so I'm looking forward to most of the rest of it. Mostly the road courses, just because that's kind of my cup of tea. I'm more of that kind of a driver. Ovals, you know, whatever, but try to make the best of it.
All right, Cameron, we'll let you get back to work. Good luck out there. We'll see you later.
Thank you.
See if the 48 Nathan Velez, I think he's around to chat, so let's pull him in real quick to talk to him. I think we're currently 6th in points, dropping 1 spot after last week's race at Eldora, but currently qualified in 5th at the moment, and we're now talking with Nathan Velez. Nathan, P5 at the moment on the board. Road course racing, you like it or you hate it? Where are you tonight, and how do you feel like you're going to do?
I think I'm good right now. I love road course racing, but it really depends on the car. The trucks and the cup cars are pretty difficult because of the weight, and usually it's not much fun when it's hot, so the cars are sliding around a lot. But I really love road course racing.
And starting 5th, I know it's a 60-minute race, so this is actually a bit shorter than we're used to. Is there a level of franticness at the start of this race? And this first sector is pretty tight and twisty. So what's the plan for the start? Lay back, or are you going to be really aggressive and try to get some spots?
No, I'm going to try and lay back. Being aggressive is going to do nothing but ruin my tires, or at least burn them out quicker, and most likely cause an accident. So hopefully people behind me are thinking the same thing, but, you know, we'll see. But yeah.
All right, Nathan, we'll let you get back to work. Good luck out there, and hopefully we'll talk to you in Victory Lane later tonight.
Thank you, sir.
So that was Nathan Velez, driving the number 48. Finian, qualifying almost complete, but Robert Hill Jr. sitting, and he's currently on pole, and he is really, really quick this evening. And just like we saw at Watkins Glen, it looks like the cream of the crop is rising to the top. And I think he's going to be a hard truck to beat.
Oh, definitely is. But I mean, looking at the qualifying times, I think we're going to have a pretty good race on our hands here. I mean, the first 2 guys separated by 13 thousandths of a second. That's extremely close when you consider the fact that they're running a 1 and 40-second lap time. So I'm really curious to see who's going to come out. I think it's honestly going to come down to the 38 or the 17. The next driver is 6/10 back. So I think it's really going to be the 2 guys at the top that we got to keep an eye on should anything happen.
Well, we had about 9 trucks not take time here, Finian, so just trying to keep out of the fray for the initial start. This race will be about 36 laps if it goes green to the end. We did have a caution in the early stages at Watkins Glen that kind of shook some things up. A lot of aggression at the start. We heard Nathan say that he's not really willing to put his vehicle on the line early in the going. So for you, Finian, are you all about the aggression at the start? Because typically I like to be aggressive as long as it's not going to get me into trouble.
I would say, considering the type of track this is, I mean, this is almost a street circuit in some ways. These are public roads, but the walls are very close to the track. So, in considering how big these cars are in general, I think definitely for at least the first half of the lap, I would say take it a little gentle, find a place in line, and then start to kick up the aggression as you start passing people. Because if you kick up the aggression in the first few turns, you might end up turning someone or get turned yourself.
Starting lineup rolling across the bottom of your screen. Of course, Robert Hill Jr., Watkins Glen winner on pole here, picking up where he left off. Drew Eisenman and Chad Frankenfield in row number 2. Remember, Chad Frankenfield in the IndyCar Triple Crown last season, Finney, and he is not shabby at road courses either. So that 15 truck is going to be a tough one to beat. We mentioned Velez. How about Levi Zielinski starting 6th? After a strong run for him in Cup last week, and Thomas Morris in the 69 truck starting 7th. Sam Close, one of the 3 OG cars, starting in 8th. We'll let the rest of that roll across the bottom of your screen. But Finian, expectations for tonight, competitive race. We always see that at the road course racing. But at Watkins Glen, we saw a lot of mistakes, a lot of self-spins, a lot of multi-car incidents. Expectations similar tonight, or do you think it'll be a different race?
I think we're going to see a lot of self-incidents again. There's a track that will eat you out if... that's a very poor choice of words. It will bite you.
There you go.
If you make a mistake.
All right, well...
Yes, well, basically, if you make a mistake, you're going to be paying the price. Your truck's going to be damaged for the rest of this race. So these guys got to be careful the way they drive around this place, because they can end up parked very early on if they're not careful.
All right, pace truck is rolling off. Sorry for the confusion there. Matt Grunberg starting a couple rows back from the beginning. Remember, he's probably going to be... He's been a threat on every single track this season. Curious to see where he'll line up for the race tonight. Of course, that Tonka number 38, the one leading us down to the green flag. And he's on driver's left. Now, this is an interesting one here, Fenian, because I think I would probably rather be on driver's right coming to the green because of the way this first sector is configured.
Yeah, I mean, it could really go either way. Depends on how good you are. But yeah, Robert Hill leading the field down 30 trucks strong as we get ready to go for 1 hour here at Montreal.
60 minutes, about 36 laps of racing. The field going to snake their way through this final chicane before we launch off for the green flag. And it's 2 brand new Chevrolet Silverados on that front row as we come to the green flag. Across the border to the north, green flag flies, racing in Montreal.
And as they head off into turn 1, who's going to win it? I think Rich is going to have it here.
He does. Cameron Rich to the top spot, and he think he's going to actually be able to clear the 38. But everyone, Nathan Velez off in the dirt through for turn 1. You mentioned he was going to take it easy, but he's got some damage to the right rear. He's already been run into so far in this first sector. And a lot of chaos behind as everyone just tries to get in line. There's a bright purple truck there. I think that's the 14 to Kevin Finn right behind Velez. He's still trying to give up time after cutting the course. There's Wade Lear in the 11, and everyone's scrambling. Rusty Capel going real slow through that first chicane. Now everyone just trying to get single filed out, but it's Cameron Rich out front. Great start by the 17 truck.
Yeah, and Hill trying to catch up to him, had a little bit of wheel spin off the corner. He's got Chad Frankenfield up and behind. We haven't really talked a lot about Frankenfield. He's just kind of lurking there in third place. He might also be one to watch.
We saw Masso in the Ford truck off to a decent start. Thomas Morrison behind as we work our way down into the chicane. Velez deep on the brakes underneath Kevin Finn, trying to get the spot over the curbs here side by side. Can't quite do it, so he's going to have to give that spot back to the 14. Right behind Johnny Thomas in the 09. I see some grass getting picked up in the background. Some other trucks going off for an off-road excursion. There's Jordan McKeevoy and Sam Close fighting for 25th. Everyone's still just trying to get in position here. Brennan Kluser, who's with some big front-end damage on that Silverado. He's been in the back of somebody.
Yeah, and I can't blame him again. Very tight circuit, very easy to find, get into the back of someone. But again, you don't want to damage your truck early because you got to deal with that for another hour.
Through the final chicane for the first time, bouncing over the curves. Cameron Rich out up front by 9/10 of a second. Don't miss your braking point here, Finney, and that's a big slowdown if you cut that corner.
Yep, and leaders come to complete lap 1. Cameron Rich will lead the field on down. Luis Lamasso fighting for a spot with, I'm trying to find who that is. Thomas Morris.
I saw it was Cody McCorkle in the 12 truck. Was all sorts of sideways coming out of the final corner. He runs wide into turn 1. Kevin Finn goes out wider. He's going to try to cross him up here in turn 2. But McCorkle protects that inside lane, and look at Kevin Finn just trying to spin up those rear tires to get that traction back. Nathan Velez. Oh, Velez in the fence in the background. Right in front of Capel, or excuse me, that's Johnny Thomas there. Big damage for the 09. But Velez bounces off the concrete. He'll continue, but this has just been a disastrous start for that team.
Yeah, I know, and Velez is just wondering, how this has gone so wrong for him. And he got it loose on the straightaway there, but if you notice, There's a little bit of a kink in that straightaway. Driving it myself, it's very hard. It's very easy to get loose there.
Brennan Kluster, who's I think he has stopped that vehicle down in the pit lane, so that is really rough for that 3. We didn't see what happened to it. We'll check that out at the end of the night, but Cameron Rich currently leads by 0.8 of a second. Robert Hill Jr. closing back in through the hairpin here.
Yeah, the entire top 4 is separated from the rest of the field here by a solid amount. Levi Zielinski in 5th. He's 2.7 seconds behind the leaders. McCorkle
getting dove under by the 11 of Wade Lear, and Lear is going to be able to complete that pass. And that corner is so tight for these big, heavy trucks to negotiate now that they're drag racing down the back straightaway heading towards the chicane. Top spot, though. Robert Hill is definitely closing in on that 17.
Yeah, we'll see as they come back across the line which one of them was faster.
That time through.
Hill.
It was Hill by 0.2 of a second. That's not insignificant around here. We got a long way to go. Bounces over the curbs in turn 1, closing that gap even further. And, ooh, there's a big gaggle back here. There's Dave Hunt, Johnny Thomas with some damage on his front end. And it looks like Dylan Hickey has blown the chicane. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, just locked up heading into the corner and had to cut the rest of the chicane. That's a big slowdown, so he had to give up a ton of spots. And Craig Schroeder also had an issue. I think he ended up coming down to a complete stop or something like that as he blew the chicane as well. So not a great start for Craig Schroeder in that 41. He's got all sorts of damage on that vehicle. We head back up to the top spot because, look, 0.2 of a second now. Robert Hill closed back on Cameron Rich down into the chicane. And Hill is all over that 17. I think he's got the truck to beat tonight.
Oh, yeah, and he made up a lot of time to that chicane. You see Rich struggling for grip as he comes out of the corner here. Hill honestly just kind of has to wait for Rich to make a mistake. He's also got to be very, very careful where he chooses to pass him as well.
Kyle Zimmer, slow. I think he might have gone around in one corner. Let's zoom back a little bit and try to find out what happened to him in the 97 truck. Oh, he just spun out of turn 4 and looped it around, light contact into the wall, and he just went off-road a little bit in the next chicane as well, so Zimmer's having a tough time. But 0.4 of a second separating the top 2. It's going to be a race between these two guys with 55 minutes remaining.
Yeah, and I was saying, keeping an eye on these two guys will definitely be where the show is, and I think we're starting to see that go on as he Hill, wow, struggling for grip. I've noticed a lot of trucks struggling for the exit grip off the corners.
That time through, Robert Hill was 0.2 slower again. 0.7 continue to separate these trucks, but they're very, very equal. Chad Frankenfield, 1.7 back from Robert Hill. He's the guy that's just kind of lurking behind. If these two get together, and it's very possible that they do, he's going to be in a great spot to take advantage of it. So clean and green here early in the going. A couple small incidents, but looks like Klusterhuis is back out on the racetrack in that number 3 truck. And Craig Schroeder looks like he has not been to pit road, but he's gotten that truck rolling again.
Yeah, and also if we want to look back in 12th place, we'll find our points leader, Matt Grunberg, struggling on the start here. Started in 9th, is in 12th, but actually as far back as I think 14th at one point. So he's kind of struggling. He's got a lot of damage to his left rear.
Yeah, he's been packed into the fence or packed into another driver at least once tonight. Matt Hackathorn is slow. I think he went off course here just a moment ago. And he was right behind Johnny Thomas, who was really slow entering the corner. Hackathorn just blew the corner and drove off into the dirt and got himself back on. I think we're going to see a lot of that. Nathan Velez, he just went around as well harder than he did before in the same spot. And that is motor done, night over for Velez in that 48. That's a shame.
Yeah, tough break again. Bad night gone worse. Started in 5th, and he's going to end up with a very early retirement in this race.
Kevin Jadrosich also slow. I think he might have gone around or not in a slowdown. Oh, he just went off track as well. Same corner again. Actually, that's the next chicane, rather. But I think we're seeing a lot of drivers kind of outdrive and overdrive these cars into the braking zones. These trucks have steel cast iron rotors, and these guys are really struggling to get these things stopped. No surprise to me, though. I think we knew that was going to be an issue. We saw the brakes glowing on Cameron Rich during qualifying. Johnny Thomas slowing off the pace, or at least he's letting by Dylan Hickey in the 7. No change up front, still 0.8 of a second between those guys.
Yeah, I think definitely Thomas is down on power. I'm trying to listen to the motor.
Oh, he just pounded the wall of champions as well.
Yeah, so really struggling in that 09 car. And
Craig Schroeder working his way through the chicane. The hairpin. very, very slow as well. So that 48 or 41 car rather is really, really hurting. Back up towards the front though, Cameron Rich and Robert Hill separated by about half a second now, pretty much matching each other's pace lap after lap.
Also, if you look further on behind, great battle going on for around 9th place with Josh Adams, another strong contender we've seen in the truck series. He's kind of stuck in traffic, just got passed by Kevin Finn in front of him.
See the brakes already glowing on Race Clark's number 25 machine, so the brakes are going to be a point of contention. Remember, the more you heat up your brakes, the more you heat up your tires, and the less long those tires are going to last for. So you see the 14 of Kevin Finn locking up into the hairpin. That's going to be something we see all night long. And then right ahead of them, that's the 25 and the 95 almost getting together, pushing and shoving their way through the hairpin. This is a very physical, hands-on racetrack, as we've seen in the past with the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and I don't think these drivers are willing to back down from each other either. Dave Hunt deep on the brakes as well. You see his rotor's already very hot, in addition to everyone else, and it's just put so much pressure on your brakes. And this used to be a big talking point, as we see the 00 has some rear damage as well. This was a big talking point, was the brakes that they ran at this racetrack, because the speeds are so high heading off into the final chicane that we're seeing right now. Johnny Thomas continues to drop down spots, fitting that truck is struggling and struggling hard.
Yeah, I was going to say the truck is struggling for handling and power, which are arguably the two things you need the most in a race car. And yeah, he's just having a very poor day right now, and I'm sure he can't wait for this race to end.
He ran next to Dave Hunt off into the final corner, and they almost got into each other, and the 09 had to take evasive action. Now 53 and Dave Hunt runs wide and collects. The 09 turns him around down in turn 1. And now they just have to sit there and wait for Capel and Corey Lindsay to go on by, but those two probably aren't really happy with each other. 53 missed turn 1 and then came right back across the racetrack into turn 2. Just a mess there.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about. This switchback of the first two corners is very easy, as we saw, for people to get into each other if you're not careful and not paying attention.
Yeah, Dave Hunt just overran the corner a little bit, came back across, and I don't think the 09 expected him to be there, and turned in, and just two cars going for one spot. And a frustrating collision for those two drivers. Back up towards the front, though, we've watched these two guys running pretty much identical lap times. Now the question is, who's going to outlast the other? We will have to make a pit stop or two, and I'm curious to see what Robert Hill's strategy is. We were already off about a second from our best time, so the tire wear is pretty great, only 7 laps into this race. These new Silverados, they look fantastic, don't they, Finian?
Yeah, they absolutely look fantastic.
Chad Frankenfield losing time to the leaders, but kind of in a league of his own right now. Drew Eisenman 2 seconds behind him with his teammate out up front. Eisenman's looking pretty good at the moment, but Frankenfield kind of all on his own in that no man's land in third.
Yeah, Frankenfield, Eisenman, and Zielinski kind of all in no man's land, don't really have that many trucks around them.
Zielinski got a Sour Patch Kids scheme on that truck this week. Looks good out there.
Yeah, further on behind them, Thomas Moore is starting to reel in Luis Halmaso just a little bit every lap. They're separated by a few tenths, both these drivers.
On the brakes. Ooh, it looks like the Ford truck blew the corner a little bit, bounces off the curb, and that's going to give Morris a great opportunity to close up that gap. Heading down into the hairpin. It's just going to be so difficult to make that launch and outbrake each other. The braking zones are long, but if you miss it by an inch, you're going off the track by a mile. It's such a lazy, slow turn. It's like driving a refrigerator around here.
And one battle that's starting to heat up is between Joshua Adams and Matt Grunberg for 10th place. Adams starting to fall back. Grunberg trying to reclaim some places as he moves his way to the front.
There was just an incident between the 21 of Jordan McKeeboy and the 64 of Todd Smith as they head down into the second chicane. And, ooh, Todd Smith just turned around the 21, so I wonder if there was something that led up to that, but those two drivers very much in disagreement over that parcel of racetrack. And the 21 slow again. I don't know if something else just happened.
Mr. Corner.
And take another look here. Yep, missed the corner and outbraked himself and lost that spot again, so he'll have to get back by the 64, so I don't think that issue is quite done yet. Tommaso and Morris still separated by about 0.3 of a second. And I think Morris is quicker right now. Last time through, he was 0.3 quicker. That 69 truck is coming.
Yeah, and actually, Morris is all over the back bumper of Salmaso. So if Salmaso makes one mistake, Morris is ready to take that position from him.
It's all about patience getting back on the throttle with these trucks. You can't spin the wheels, and you know these trucks only have about 550 horsepower, but they will spin the tires if you get on the throttle too soon. They have a lot of torque. See, I think there's one truck slow up there. I don't know if that's...
Ooh, Johnny Thomas, his engine's gone, leaving a lot of smoke on the track.
Oh yeah, that's definitely an engine expired for the 09. And just like Nathan Velez, his night will end early. That's a real shame. Trying to get it around the racetrack, but it's not going to last very long. Back to that battle for 6th, though, Morris. Looks like he's actually gotten around Salmaso. So I think Salmaso must have missed a corner. And yeah, it was down in the hairpin here. Salmaso gets on the brakes. Oh, he slipped off the racetrack to the left and almost spun around. That let the 69 get to his inside and make that pass while we were watching the 09 of Johnny Thomas.
Yeah, and up ahead of them, Zielinski's not too far away from them, so I'm curious if Morris has enough pace. We've still got a long ways to go in this race. If he can try to catch up to Zielinski, he's got 45 minutes to do so.
Curious about these top two, though, Finney. They're actually separated out by a bit more than we've seen in the past. Robert Hill Jr. back a little ways from Cameron Rich, and I'm not sure this... Oh, he slipped big time there. And he's still sliding. I think the handling's gone away on that 38 truck. If you remember back to Watkins Glen, the 17 of Cameron Rich got turned around down in the first lap, so the 38 didn't have to battle with Cameron Rich last time, so he was off in a league of his own. But this week, Cameron Rich has showed up to the party, and he's driving away right now.
Yeah, and really, again, if Rich, all Rich needs to do is just make a mistake, and it's going to be Robert Hill collecting, because these guys are pretty much in a world of their own.
Not sure if Salmaso's done fighting with Morris yet, trying to close that gap back to the 69 machine. 45 minutes left. We're 15 minutes in. And the field is separated out, much like they did at Watkins Glen. A bit of a bobble there by the 4 on the brakes. See the rotor's glowing hot in that left front. And a big plume of smoke, I presume, from the 09 of Johnny Thomas, who is still working his way down the backstretch as the 15 of Frankenfield and the 77 of Eisenman work their way through. And then that's the... What machine? That's the 66 of Derbyshire coming on through. And the 66 is a lap down. And Zielinski gets kind of caught behind the 09 through the chicane, lost a bit of time.
Yeah, I'm amazed that truck is still running.
He's stayed on the racetrack. I thought he was going to go to pit road, but he is not. So he's going to make those windshields awful dirty from the drivers behind him. Well, pit road is a busy place. Kyle Hanshaw is also down there as well. A couple other trucks. Velez, you see in the background, Corey Lindsay was there for a little while. Kloosterhoos has pitted, and he's back out on the racetrack with that 3 truck, albeit 3 laps down. Corey Lindsay is sitting in pit lane, and he's been here for a while, I think.
Oh, and Johnny Thomas, he just called it a day.
Yeah, I can't blame him for that. I don't think the truck was still running regardless. So Robert Hill's fallen off 3 seconds off of Cameron Rich. He actually must have gone off track last time, a 144.408 to Cameron Rich's 141.621. So let's see if we can go back and find...
Yeah. And I was just watching his last corner, too. He is really struggling for grip in that truck.
Yeah, he definitely is struggling. I'm trying to find out where he made a mistake. Might have been down somewhere else.
It seems like he lost speed after turn 4.
Yeah, okay, here's a look at it here. Maybe got a cut track?
I'm trying to look.
Yeah, that's definitely what it is. He cut the corner a little bit too much, got on the inside of the curbing and had to do a slowdown. So that's what gave the 38 that huge disadvantage that we were seeing. We'll head back up live, and he's now 4.6 behind and still struggling with that handling on that vehicle. So he wants to pit for tires, but it's still very early to do that. So he's going to be patient and wait a little longer, but Cameron Rich is on cruise mode out front right now.
Yeah, and Rich pretty much has nothing to worry about at this point, just needs to tick off some laps. There's a car parked in turn 3. That's Kyle Hanshaw.
Yeah, he's parked off course. And I'm not sure what he's here for.
Well, the admins are barking at him to get off the track at the moment.
Not really in a great spot. There he goes. He's gone now, but I'm not sure if he spun there or if he was just kind of hanging out there.
Well, judged by his position, oh no, I was going to say I thought he's... Yeah, no, just missed the corner and just kind of decided to park it there and call it a day.
Let's find another look at it. I think he just kind of drove down there, Finian. Very slow and did a nice K-turn and turned back around, so some frustration setting in for the 46. This is playing out very differently than Watkins Glen, I would say. I think at Watkins Glen we had a lot more incidents between drivers. It seems like it's a lot of just single car incidents right now, and big gaps between drivers. And closest battle on the racetrack right now is between this purple machine of Kevin Finn and Race Clark in the 25. Groenberg trying to close in. Groenberg started in the 9th spot. He's down in 10th, so he's dropped 1 spot after some early issues.
Yeah, we dropped quite a few spots and then has been slowly gaining them back up. So definitely has some pace in that 54 truck. He's still got two-thirds of the race left to try to make up these spots. He's been doing a great job. Honestly, he can climb up. I think he can definitely catch Clark and Finn up ahead.
Josh Adams and Wade Lear, they're fighting for 11th place right now down into the chicane. Goes aggressively over the curbs here. Here's Sam Close all by himself. Started in 8th, dropped to 14th. Got some significant front-end damage on that machine, but all by himself.
Yeah, he really is in no man's lane. He's the next car up ahead of him, 5 seconds up the road. Next car back is like 13 behind him.
Cody McCorkle closing on the Wade Lear machine. A bit of a battle shaping up for 11th here between Adams, Lear, and McCorkle.
Yeah, McCorkle getting his race going in the right direction. Lost a few spots early on in the race, but has been slowly making them back up here.
I see a slow Rusty Capel. I'm not sure. Oh, yep, he's gone wide in the hairpin, so he's gone off course. And he just ran out wide trying to stay out of the way of leader Cameron Rich, who is now out up front by 11 seconds. What happened to the 38, Finian? He's lost second to Chad Frankenfield. And he's way down, and Cameron Rich somehow got an 11-second lead last lap.
I see it. Yeah, Hill spun it in the corner before the hairpin. Not sure what number that is.
Here we go, but here's a look at it. And, oh, just way too hot. Almost like he completely got distracted and missed his braking zone, but spun that truck around and lost all that advantage that he had on Chad Frankenfield and then some. So Frankenfield has worked his way around for a second. But Robert Hill, that truck has gone into desperation mode right now. He is really struggling to find grip and lost a ton of time doing it.
Yeah, now Frankfield's out up ahead of him. Frankfield up in his 2nd place has just been quietly running his own race, and that's paid dividends for the 15 up in his 2nd.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to catch Cameron Rich at the pace he's going right now, but I think Robert Hill is trying, and trying too hard around here, you definitely get penalized huge. Now, the good thing for Robert Hill is he hasn't hit anything yet, but certainly it's very easy to if you mess up in the wrong spot.
Yeah, I think really he just needs to bide his time for the pit stop that's coming up in about 8 minutes. That's when we'll be halfway on time.
Trouble down in the hairpin. And it was Dave Hunt and Jordan McKeevoy. They had an issue, and 21 was dead sideways for a minute. He looped it around and almost tagged the 53. He did tag the 53, almost turned him around, so nothing intentional there, just guys getting out of shape. And both of those guys tiptoeing their way through the chicane now and trying not to have anything else go wrong. McCorkle has gotten around Wade Lear. Now he sets his sights on Josh Adams. Now McCorkle started in 14th. He's running 12th. That truck is clean. Got a scratch on it. Now he's just trying to slowly, methodically make his way forward.
Ooh, and that's going to help that Adams just missed his braking point there. And now McCorkle's on the attack.
Heading down to the hairpin now, one of the best passing opportunities on the racetrack. You just got to get on the brakes deeper and later than the next guy. And there's a bit of a lockup in front by Matt Gruenberg, but they worked their way down into the hairpin. But that 12 car is closing and closing quickly. Now we'll have a bit of a slipstream down the back straightaway. The 95 goes to defend. And we'll see who can drag race the other down the back straight. Deep on the brakes, McCorkle hard. Oh, he gets a bit loose on corner entry and jumps over the curbs, but he gets loose on exit, can't get the power down.
Yeah, I think that's the big struggle for a lot of people. I think most of the crashes have been on exit, just guys trying to get the power down and not being able to do so.
Now down into turn 1. McCorkle's definitely quicker than the 95 at the moment. Question is, how much is the 12 truck going to push? He seems like he's being pretty aggressive right now.
Change for position between Zielinski and looks like Morris.
Yep. Morris is stolen.
Zielinski,
5th place away. Salmaso closing on the 6th truck as well.
yeah, Zielinski missed turn 3, cut the corner, had to give up some time.
Kevin Jadrsic also slow for a moment. I think
Ooh, Zielinski off track again.
Yep, he cut the track there, and when you cut the track here, the slowdowns are immense. They really penalize you a lot for missing the corners. That's funny that we mentioned that with the Sebastian Vettel incident during the Formula One Canadian Grand Prix today, but similar. Now, while it's an automatically assessed penalty here, it really is very painful. And you see Josh Adams get loose, heading down to the hairpin again, and that 12 truck is putting so much pressure on him. Just slowly trying to get these 3,400-pound stock trucks around that tight corner, and they accelerate back on the gas, and McCorkle has lost a lot of ground exiting corners, but gains a lot of ground in the middle of the corner. Almost halfway through this race, Finney, and 35 minutes remaining, and Cameron Rich has just shown that he is just in a league of his own right now.
Yeah, indeed. Especially with Robert Hill Jr.'s mistakes, it's dropped him back quite a bit. Actually, he's going to throw up to the inside of the 15. They're fighting it out for second place.
Side by side through the second of 4 chicanes, and whoop, bit of some contact there as they fight for second. All the while, Rich is just driving away a 13.1 second lead. But Robert Hill definitely is the second quickest truck and just waiting to get back around the 15.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to be kind of a tall order at this point for him to race back to the 17, but I think he if anyone can do it, it's him. He's going to be side by side again with Frank Gilles as they head off into the hairpin.
But he's on driver's left. This is a hard place to make a pass. He might have to brake earlier and do the crossover on corner exit. Oh, the 15 loose on entry, and 38 doesn't have a place to do a crossover, but they're going to drag race down the back straightaway, heading to the final chicane and that wall of champions. But a bobble from the 15 means that 38 truck might actually clear before they get there, and he does.
Yeah, great battle for position there. So that's one less worry that Hill's got to worry about. He's just got to worry now not to make a mistake and just set his sights on the 17.
Yeah, I don't think you're right. There's no way that he gets back to Cameron Rich on his own, but maybe some help in pit road might change that. Cody McCorkle gets around Josh Adams down to the hairpin, so puts McCorkle up into 11th, setting his sights on Gruenberg now. And Kevin Jadrsic is shown stopped on the racetrack. I think he just reset Finney, and so he's gone for a loop. Yes, he did. A big hit on the exit of the second chicane, pounded the wall, and that'll be Kevin Jadrsic's night. That's a real shame for the 42. He's having a good season up until that race right now. Frankenfield trying to keep up with Robert Hill, but I just think that 38 truck is quicker than the 15, but not as quick as the 17, and definitely making more mistakes than Cameron Rich right now, who is only 2 seconds off the pace from the start, where everyone else is 3 to 4. And we're about to see a lot of trucks get on a pit road for that, presumably halfway pit stop.
Yeah, thing is, though, I think what a lot of the guys are eyeing on is making sure they get there after 30 minutes, because that's when the halfway points are going to be awarded for the top 10. So guys definitely in the points race, I think they're going to keep their eye on the clock and try to make it past that point. I believe my understanding from the driver's briefing was the lap after the clock hits the lap 30 when the leader comes by, that's the lap that will be that's where the points will be awarded.
Yeah, a couple trucks have come to pit road already. Sam Close being one of them, Rusty Capel, Corey Lindsay, Austin Derbyshire, but those were really just for crash damage repair. No, not really part of the strategy here. So I think we'll see them back. They're going to have to come back to pit road. Hill and Frankenfield worked their way through the final. Actually, Robert Hill is on pit lane, I believe. Yes, he is.
Yeah, and I think honestly this is probably what it needed to do. I think needed to get some sort of leg up on the 17.
I'm just curious to see if this is worth doing, sacrificing those points.
Might be. I mean, looking at the deltas, they're running right now. These guys are running about 3 seconds slower on these set of tires compared to when they're fresh. So
interesting to note, Josh Adams gotten back around Cody McCorkle. McCorkle comes straight to pit lane, and Wade Lear going right behind him. He's going to just skip the pit road, but here comes Sam Close in from 14th. So a bunch of pit stops happening now. They have to go another 2 minutes to make it to the end of this 30-minute cycle here. So it means that they're going to have to go a whole other lap after this, which means that they have to go at least a lap and a half on fuel, at least Cameron Rich does, to make it to that 30-minute mark.
Yeah, Hill's back out on the track trying to work through some guys up ahead of him, trying to get around Kevin Finn at the moment.
And this should be relatively easy, but all that advantage that he needs to get very quickly. And he's going to drive around the outside of the 14. That wasn't a very efficient pass there, so he's got to make up as much ground as he can, because that's really the only goodness that can come out of this strategy play.
Yeah, I'm curious now, how quickly is Cameron Rich going to respond? He's not going to pit this time through.
I thought for sure that they would have run out of fuel by now, so next time by, they should be at the 30-minute mark. But he has to get to the start-finish line to be able to get those points. Chad Frankenfield, he's down in the pit lane from second. Drew Eisenman stays out, so a lot of the Eisentech cars, I think, are going to play the same strategy. Thomas Morris, he comes into pit lane. There's a 21 of McKeeboy as well. Levi Zielinski stays out on the racetrack, but I think that is the 69 of Morris and also the 25 of Race Clark. Oh, he stays out. And there's Robert Hill Jr. at the moment.
Yeah, it's a lot of mixed strategies here at the moment as far as deciding when to pit by a lap or so. Big majority of the field coming down this time.
So last time through, Robert Hill Jr.'s lap time, including a pit stop, was 2:03.091. So that's the time that Cameron Rich has to beat, and he now he's got about an 18-second lead back to Drew Eisenman, so he can come to pit road this time and pick up the win for the quote-unquote stage as well as get his pit service. So I think that's his plan here. We'll see this 17 truck on pit road this time through.
Yeah, Cameron Rich heading down the back straightaway, and we'll see if he does make that decision or if he decides to stay out to make sure he's got that lead, although he's got 17 seconds back.
He'll be in. So he'll be in this time, and he's gonna come straight in. Here he comes. And leader Cameron Rich in. Now, don't throw this race away. Don't speed on pit lane. Don't get caught for rolling through too many boxes. Don't do anything stupid. You got a great position here. Don't mess it up. Drew Eisenman, we expect to see him coming in this time as well. And anyone that hasn't pitted yet could come in. Here he comes.
Yeah, and Robert Hill just coming out of the hairpin now, heading down the back straightaway.
Now the race is on here for Robert Hill to get back to that 17 truck before he leaves the pit box. It was a 13-second gap. He's not going to be there, but the question is, can he continue his climb forward after Cameron Rich leaves his pit box? So Robert Hill works his way through the chicane and on a long front straightaway, but Cameron Rich is done. His service is complete. He's rolling out. Going to be closer than I thought it was going to be. Robert Hill works his way down towards turn one.
Yeah, we have quite a bit of time doing so. We'll get the... Actually, I can probably pull up the delta now. 5
seconds about that. 5.5.
Yeah, that's more time than I thought he would make up too. So, especially considering he was caught up with caught some not lap traffic, but caught some slower cars in very awkward situations. So he still made up a good amount of time.
Yeah, so he chopped that gap roughly in half, and now that's a lot more manageable to make up. But the question is, can he keep pace with the 17? Cameron Rich has led every lap so far since the start of this race, even though the 38 sat on pole. And if you think back, Finian, why would you not take drivers right heading into that? I mean, I think that's such an obvious call to me, and that might have changed how this race played out if the 38 had the lead on that first lap. Dylan Hickey getting his service in at number 7 IK9 Silverado. Rusty Capel and the 64 of Todd Smith also down. No significant battles on the racetrack at the moment other than Josh Adams and Cody McCorkle. They pick right up where they left off. Oh, Josh Adams hard into the fence. He crashes. He's done. Just like that. Josh Adams out of the race. Wow. and just slipped up and hit the concrete in the worst possible spot right in front of Cody McCorkle. That's terrible.
Yeah, tough break for Adams in the 95. That's a tough part of racetrack that I think we've seen the most incidents out of turn 3 and 4.
That's where, you know, you're really you're loading up the tires through that chicane, and the curbs are very strange, so they don't give you the anti-cut curbs to bounce off of and help rotate the car. So you're just kind of relying on those the red grass protecting curbs, and at that point, those are really slippery, and the walls are very close. It's close. That's the tightest section of the racetrack, really. So it makes a lot of sense that we've seen a bunch of issues down there. Race Clark closing in on Sam Close for the 11th spot. 5.8 seconds now between Cameron Rich and Robert Hill Jr. I think that's shown us, Finian, that Cameron Rich still has better pace in the 38, so that might be sitting right in Cameron Rich's lap, this race win here.
Yeah, not to mention, too, that Rich has fresher tires now than the 38 truck, so he's got that hand as well. So yeah, it's pretty much all going against Robert Hill Jr. at the moment. But I mean, if anything to say, at least Hill's looking at a solid second place.
No, I don't think he'd be upset with his second place, but obviously after starting on pole, I think he had an expectation that he probably could win the race, and looking like that's going to be a pretty tall order now, 6.4 back. Matt Grunberg and Kevin Finn beginning to have a battle for 8th place. A lot of DNFs though, Finney, and look at this. We started with 31 trucks. We're down to only 19 on the racetrack, 20 on the racetrack? We've lost a lot.
Yeah, dude, we lost a lot. Rusty Cape, there's a few still running around, but yeah, definitely a lot of times we've lost about a third of the field.
And a lot, no major incidents, just people just kind of having run-ins here and there and just getting the trucks beyond repair. I think we knew that these road course races would be a challenge, but it's been more of a challenge this year than I remember them being in the past last year.
Yeah, I think this is definitely, you might want to put a bit of an asterisk to Montreal. It's a fairly hard road course to navigate in a stock car, at least, just considering how tight the walls are and how tight the turns are to navigate. So I think that's also a little bit of a factor here.
Sam Close blows turn, I don't know what turn number it is, but he blows the hairpin, and that's going to let the 25 get to the inside, but he re-clears him on corner exit. Race Clark could not get the power down, and Close will hold on to that spot for now. But you mentioned it, Montreal is not an easy racetrack to drive, a very challenging one, in fact, and I drove this earlier in the week with the default iRacing provided setup and for Watkins Glen with just a gearing adjustment. It's very, very tricky, very sensitive, very twitchy, and I was having trouble getting a feel for it. Now, if you bring the Xfinity cars here, Finian, a lot more comfortable. They feel like they belong here. The trucks, this is a weird combination, but it's fun to drive.
Yeah, definitely fun, or at least from our point of view. I'm sure a lot of these drivers probably would think otherwise.
Including Jordan McEvoy, who just got the boot. A big boot from, I believe that's the, is that the 4 or is that the 16? It is the 4. Luis Salmaso drilled the back of the 21 of McEvoy and sent him spinning in the first chicane. And Salmaso was on the lead lap. The 21 was not on the lead lap, so that might have been part of the reason why the Salmaso's patience level was low there. Cody McCorkle leading a 3-car battle for 10th. It's McCorkle, Close, and Race Clark. I'll tell you that this race was predicted to have about 36 laps. We're on lap number 22 at the moment, 23 minutes remaining. But it's all Cameron Rich out front by 6.5 seconds over Robert Hill Jr., Chad Frankenfield, Drew Eisenman, Thomas Morris, Salmaso, Zielinski, Finn, Grunberg, McCorkle, your top 10.
Yeah, have a look at that top 5 separation. 30 seconds separating the top 5, and even if you look further back, 55 seconds separating the top 10.
It was really interesting because a lot of road courses that we run, and this goes for really a lot of leagues, you'll find that sometimes the road courses are the closest races of the season. Sometimes they're the most spread out, and this is one of those examples where just a huge gap in pace this week. And I imagine that Montreal is a relatively tricky track. You see Race Clark, who lost a lot of ground on the straightaway to Sam Close and Cody McCorkle, but very challenging racetrack, very tricky to practice. And this is one of those racetracks that you don't really know how fast you're going to be until you get other trucks out here, because you can be fast all on your own, but when it comes to passing, that's very difficult around this racetrack.
Yeah, good battle going on between Cody McCorkle and Sam Close and Race Clark all together.
Yeah, McCorkle was battling the 95, and now he's got the 5 with him now, and we'll get around Sam Close. So Sam Close will give that spot up, but Race Clark putting pressure on the 5 as well now. Salmaso dropped off my timing. Oh, Race Clark all sorts of sideways. Yeah, Salmaso's off my timing, Finny. Is that internet or is that...
Oh, no, he manually left.
Oh. Did he pull off the racetrack first, is my question.
Oh, he spun off into the wall out of turn 4.
All right,
And just hold that forward.
We're trying to find a replay of this. Here it is. And this has been the trouble spot tonight. Jumped the curb, hit the exit curb, and spun out. Oh, yeah, he didn't even hit the wall before he hit the ESC button there. So real shame.
That's a tough break. Having a really solid run in 6th place.
Yeah, and I think we've seen that be the trouble spot tonight. McCorkle and Race Clark get real close together out of the final corner, or the second to last corner, and there's the 21 of McKeeboy going another lap down to these drivers. But the list of drivers retired grows larger each lap. Salmaso, Adams, Jadrsic, Darbyshire, Kluster, Zimmer, Thomas, Hanshaw, Schroeder, and Velez. That is a big list of cars, and I was not expecting it to be this much of a bloodbath tonight. Oh, the 12 car, McCorkle's in the fence on the front straight. He got in the fence trying to gas it up, and Race Clark will take 10th place away.
Interesting the fact that I thought he hit the wall of champions, missed the wall of champions, but he hit the grass on the straightaway, and that put him in the wall.
Yeah, that's one of the things about the wall of champions, Vinny. There's a bunch of FIA curbing right next to it, and I feel like it runs out about 25, 30 feet too soon. And, a lot of times I'll find myself dragging my tires over the end of that curb and under the grass, and that's what happened to the 12 truck there. And got some pretty significant right front damage there. We'll see if it hurts him, but it definitely seems like he has lost some pace this first half a lap he's taken since that incident. Up front, though, Cameron Rich by 7.5 seconds. No surprises here. Think back to Bathurst about a year ago. He won that race by a huge margin. Watkins Glen was very competitive until the race green flag dropped. He got himself in a couple incidents and ended up having only an okay day there. And looking for redemption tonight, trying to get himself in victory lane for the first time this season. And he's got 20 minutes left to get it done. I think it's about time for a SimTV Sound Surge Montreal style. Just saw Cody McCorkle absolutely destroy that last corner and jump up over the edge of the curbs and lost a bunch of ground on the drivers he was chasing because he cut the corner. We've seen a bunch of drivers blow that final chicane, but it's really been the first chicane down in turn number 3 and 4 that's been the big issue tonight. Surprised by that or not at all?
In some ways, yes, because I would say those 2 chicanes are probably the trickiest corners on the track. But in some ways, I'm kind of not, just due to how tight that first chicane is, and especially in a stock car, it's very hard to navigate.
You know, it's interesting how earlier today in the Canadian Grand Prix, that's where the trouble spot was as well. Was for Sebastian Vettel. Wow, McCorkle leaving it all out there on the racetrack, hanging out that back end, trying to catch back up to Sam Close, who's about a second up the road from him. Well, not every race is a nail-biter, Finian, and this one, not even really a strategy race, but just everyone kind of in their own zone, running their own race. It's really just a battle for lap time right now.
Yeah, I'm sure Robert Hill wished that Cameron Rich got a time penalty for some reason at this point now in time.
Well, 5 seconds, it won't be quite enough, I don't think. But
I say you need 10 seconds, but I mean, he's done a pretty solid job of hanging on. He's only fallen back 7.8 seconds, and considering how far everyone else is behind the leader, I think Hill's done a great job. Again, just a few mistakes really taking him out of the fight.
Cody McCorkle has been probably the most fun to watch tonight. He's been having battles all over the racetrack, trying to close back up now to Sam Close, and working his way down into the final chicane. This 12 truck has been really all over the show tonight.
Ooh, Race Clark just had to give up some time on the straightaway. I think he missed the chicane.
Yes, he did. Here's a look at it. Just outbraked himself again and locked up. Couldn't make the corner. And that is not a very forgiving corner cut penalty there. And you see, wow, the 12 car McCorkle still spinning those tires, trying to get back. He says he smells blood in the water with that 25 car taking that slowdown. McCorkle trying to get it back. "15 minutes to go here in Montreal. So we're 75% complete. Cameron Rich has led every green flag non-pitting lap of this race. Robert Hill Jr. trying to play some strategy. Whoop, what you got?
No, he's down on pit road.
Who is? Oh, Robert Hill. Interesting. Maybe trying to force the hand of other drivers around. I see Hackathorn on pit road behind him as well. Maybe just trying to force the hand of Cameron Rich here. I mean, you're not going to catch him, but I don't know. What's the thought process here, Finian?
I have no clue. I know in Formula 1 they started doing this where they just come in towards the end of the race to get the point for fastest lap, but I don't believe there's a bonus point for fastest lap, so I don't know. I'm actually kind of curious where so he's come out behind Thomas Morris, so he's back in 5th place.
Well, he'll get the spot back immediately, so he'll be back into 4th. I mean, maybe just for the frustration. Just get some fresh 4 Mr. Feelgoods on it and drive away. I mean, you're only going to lose 2 spots, so I don't know, maybe that was just for fun.
Yeah, I guess so, and I mean, looking at where he is, he's not that incredibly behind Frankenfeld Eisenman, so I guess maybe just thought, get some fresher tires will make the later part of the race more tolerable, because I think he's probably been the most abusive on his tires. He seems to really fall out towards the end of the run.
Speaking of Eisenman and Frankenfield, these guys are only separated by 0.6 of a second for that second spot at the moment. And this battle is just heated up, because a moment ago they were fighting for a podium spot, now it's for a second. See Eisenman spin the tires on corner exit. Will anyone else come to pit road? I mean, I think that's a strange strategy, but I guess it's not.
Yeah, because we definitely seen that these guys can make it on fuel. So I don't know. I think it was really just for the tires for Hill.
13 minutes to go now, and Dylan Hickey, Wade Lear. They were separated by a pretty large margin there, but Wade Lear, how about this guy? Started 13th tonight. He's had a non-eventful night and is currently running 12th. So. One of those guys has just kind of been in his own zone all day. I think that's what we've seen out of a lot of these drivers. They've just kind of been cranking out their own lap times with amongst themselves. And, you know, this probably won't be a very popular race with the drivers afterwards just because of the high attrition rate and low amount of action from the driver's perspective. As we see Race Clark and Sam Close, they want to have a little bit of fun for ninth.
Yeah, they've not been really able to get around each other, Close, Clark, and McCorkle. They've all been pretty close to each other for quite a while.
Off into the final corner. And Race Clark has made the mistake here a few times, but doesn't that time very cleanly through. And there's McCorkle following. Matt Gruenberg and Kevin Finn fighting for 7th. Actually, Finn had an issue last time through, was 5 seconds slower, so Gruenberg actually up a spot. We'll see if Finn can respond. He's got that truck has seen all sorts of battle scars tonight. That left side all torn up.
Yeah, I think actually quite a few drivers actually have trucks that have some sort of damage on them. A lot of it stemming from the first quarter of the race when everyone was really close together.
Yeah, we'll go back and look at the first lap on replay. Oh, there's Matt Hackathorn. He's spun around. And he's just going to be sitting there. Is he maybe just waiting to see if they'd throw a yellow, but no yellow. He'll get back rolling again, but let's take a look at how he got himself in this situation. And got the truck off balance over the edge of the curb, tried to throttle up and just lost it. Spun it around, tried to save it. But, yep, not going great for Matt Hackathorn. 16th tonight. Hasn't really been his evening.
Grunberg just muscled his way around Kevin Finn in the hairpin.
These guys are battling. I think Finn's faster, but like I said, last time was 5 seconds off the pace, so he slipped up and let Gruenberg by, but I don't think that 54 is any quicker than the 14, so this is going to get pretty hot and contested for here in a moment. Is Thomas Morris on pit lane? Yes, he is, Finian. Another driver taking that shot.
Huh. Interesting.
I'm not really sure what's going on, but...
Yeah, that's what I'm going through my mind. I mean, I guess you want fresher tires, but I mean, I don't really know if it's worth the time loss, but...
Race Clark and Sam Close still fighting for 9th. About 10 minutes left in this race, and I don't think Cameron Rich is 23 seconds out in front of Chad Frankenfield. He didn't need to pit. He could just lay off the gas and just coast around if he was anywhere even close on fuel, but I think they got plenty of fuel.
Yeah, I think, again, even just in general, I think he's really got nothing to worry about. He's just on a Sunday drive right now.
Bloomberg and Finn still fighting for 6th. Don't think we've seen the last of this battle yet. Another thing that might be catching us off guard here, Finian, is this week the truck's got a pretty extensive update, and one of those things that it got updated was the engine, and basically, from my understanding, you see Gruenberg kind of blow the hairpin there. One of the things that was adjusted was the engine horsepower, torque, and rev limit. So this engine now does not rev as high, but it has a lot more low-end torque, and what that means is that we're going to see a lot more wheel spin on the slower racetracks in Montreal included when you're getting out of the corner. We've seen a lot more kind of self-spins on corner exit. This truck, in the past, you could have just floored it everywhere. It didn't have enough power to spin up the rear wheels, but now with this torque adjustment, it seems like that's affecting how these trucks are handling tonight. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, when you consider that, too, a lot of the, as I was saying earlier, a lot of the spins have been exiting the corner when these guys are getting back up to speed, so definitely I think that's probably most playing a factor.
And now, no time to adjust to it, as that build was only a couple days ago, and I doubt these guys, other than practice for this, have done much road racing in these trucks. Dylan Hickey is slow out of the hairpin, and side by side with the 9 of Rusty Capel, who's 3 laps down to no position to be gain or loss there. For second place, though, Chad Frankenfield has been run down by Eisenman. I think we could see a pass for position here shortly. Then hard on the brakes for the chicane. 8 minutes left now. Does anyone falter? Frankenfield missed that first apex, but Eisenman got a bit sideways and got a poor exit next to the wall of champions. That's going to leave Frankenfield gaining a bit of ground through that sector.
Yeah, I was going to say, again, it's really down to these two guys. Probably one of the closest battles on the track for second place. So I'm kind of curious if Eisenman's at full chap or if he's just kind of waiting until the last few laps to try to get on the back bumper of Frankenfield.
Well, I think it would make the team proud if they finished first and second. And there's not a whole lot separating that from being a reality. But I think we'll see Eisenman push pretty hard these last 7.5 minutes. Closest battle on the racetrack at the moment. Matt Grunberg, though, this is, I mean, it's been a rough day. He's got some damage on all corners of that truck, but when you take a look at the point standings, from my understanding, Finian, do you have the standings corrected where we can pull them up and see what's going on?
Yeah.
Where is Grunberg in the point standing situation? Because he should be pretty high up the list there.
He is. He's the leader by 58 points over Chad Frankenfield.
Yeah, so a huge, huge margin for the 54. He's not going to give up a whole lot tonight in terms of the points. So he's only running 6. So even the nights when you're not having a good night, if you can minimize your bad nights, that's what Grunberg has done, and that's going to keep him in the lead here. And we head to another dirt track next week at the dirt track at Charlotte, where he won at Eldora a week ago on the dirt. So this 54 truck is just shaping up to be a fantastic season. We figured this after watching him last season, but it's just turned out to be so much better than even we thought.
Yeah, indeed. And actually, looking at the points, made me realize we're missing a driver, and I don't see Paul Ross here at all.
That is correct. So, battle for second continues to heat up here, though. That 15 truck is getting worn out by Eisenman, and now I'm just worried about the 15 because he's going to have all that pressure put on him. And I think the 77 of Eisenman might be able to force his way on through or force a mistake out of the 15 here shortly.
Yeah, actually, I think he's already getting to Frankfield. Frankfield's struggling with some wheel spin off the corners, and Eisenman's really starting to close up.
6 minutes remaining. Okay, just be slow and steady, and just be careful on these curves through the tricky slow sections.
Yeah, and actually, too, if you look about 5 seconds back, Robert Hill,
wow,
some fresh tires and closing in on these guys, so he might be a factor here.
He just ran a 1:40.495, and his best lap time, Finian, is a 10th quicker than Cameron Ritchie, which he's all run relatively recently. So Robert Hill Jr. is flying right now. Unfortunately, it's not going to be enough necessarily to get to Frankenfield and Eisenman unless they hold each other up, but he is charging and charging quick. He might actually get there.
Ooh, Kevin Finn in the wall, hard.
And, well, there's not a huge surprise where he found it on the racetrack. Yeah, all by himself, looped it around. And this is actually mid-shift, so it's just kind of a messy shift that he just snapped sideways and crashed into the fence. A big hit for the 14. Wow, that 77 putting all sorts of pressure on the 15, though, Finian.
Ooh, Frankfield really messed up that final chicane. Here comes Eisenman with the run.
Big run down the front straightaway. Here comes the 77 to the inside on the front straightaway. Drew Eisenman trying to match his teammate's pace here in the closing laps. 4 minutes and 35 seconds remaining side by side down into turn 1. Eisenman clips the curb on the inside. Oh, almost got the spot, and now there's some contact there with the 15, but he gets it and drives away. Frankenfield back to third, and lurking in the background is Robert Hill Jr. He's coming. Meanwhile, Pat Hackathorn, I think he has gone off the racetrack and gone away, Finian. I think that 44 has had an incident.
Oh yeah, he is definitely gone. Trying to find out what happened to him.
No, he was sitting in pit lane for a while, I think, so...
Oh!
No?
Blew an engine coming off of 2.
Okay, I'm not going to bother going back to see that replay, because I got other things to keep an eye on, but we'll head back up to the battle for second as Eisenman pulls away from Frankenfield, but Robert Hill Jr., he's closed in. He's only 2 seconds back from Frankenfield. Last time through, he was 2 seconds quicker. He's got about 3 laps left to get this job done, maybe 2. So Robert Hill's got to pick this back up, but he could steal second place back away from Eisenman if he really gets rolling.
Yeah, and like you said, he really needs to kick it in a high gear right now. But again, he's got so much grip through these corners compared to these guys. It definitely gives him a huge advantage trying to make a pass.
And that gamble would have paid off. Now, it didn't help him catch Cameron Rich at all, but it did make his last couple laps a lot more comfortable than Drew Eisenman and Robert Hill Jr. Eisenman and Frankenfield. So Robert Hill Jr.'s decision to pit there, I mean, if he gets back up to second, I'd say that was definitely a success. And he's going to get there.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was questioning that move, and I mean, he probably honestly could have gotten away with just staying out there, but I mean, in the end, same position, so I guess you can't argue with it.
Nope. Should be about 2 laps ago this time through, and Cameron Rich leads by 15 seconds over Eisenman. Did Cameron Rich take a spin, Finian? I think he did. He's definitely had a big incident.
Yeah, we're at a 148.
Yeah, he's
was 2 seconds slower last time through.
trying to figure out what happened to him. We're gonna go back a little ways and try to find it, but definitely is slower. I can't find it, Finian. I don't know what happened, but
I heard him coasting through.
Is he gonna run out of
turn
fuel?
1.
But they made it to halfway. How are they out of fuel?
I have no clue yet. So Cameron Rich actually was coasting through some of the corners.
Well, if these guys are low on fuel, Robert Hill Jr. is a genius. And he's closing in on the 15 car now. Well, we thought this was going to be a no-brainer for the 17, but he's got to make it a whole other lap after this. Does he have enough fuel? We're not sure. We thought he made it halfway and was going to be good, but that might be in question now as Hill gets around Frankenfield for third, sets of sights on second just up the road.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of amazed that that's the case, because it really shouldn't be, but...
Maybe he was just giving up time for a slowdown or something. I mean, but 5 seconds? Maybe.
He did it through several corners, so I don't think it was a slowdown.
Yeah, it was a 1:45.618 last time through. White flag in the air here at Montreal. One more time around. Does Cameron Rich have enough? He's 12 seconds out in front of teammate Drew Eisenman. Eisenman pit around the same time, I think. Yeah, they're on the same exact strategy, so does he have enough? But here comes Robert Hill Jr. closing in from behind much quicker. He can get himself back into second after taking a controversial pit stop about, looks like 8 laps ago. So this might pay off for the 38.
I would say Eisman's got to be watching his mirror right now. That 38 is coming with much fresher tires than him.
Cameron Rich only has to go a little bit more before he can just coast back to victory. If he can get off the hairpin.
Ooh, Eisman gone wide.
Oh, and he bobbles, and here comes Robert Hill Jr. to take second place away on the last lap. Drew Eisenman drops down to third. Robert Hill Jr. takes it away. So that strategy has paid off for Robert Hill Jr., but does Cameron Rich have enough fuel to make it to the end? We thought he'd be fine, but it may be in question now. If he gets back up under power here on the straightaway, he'll be good to the end. He can just coast to victory. He's short shifting a little bit.
Yeah, I think he's going to be happy that it's the final lap, and he's going to be heading towards the line here. Just needs to make sure that he gasses it up coming off the final chicane, and he's all set.
I think he's even good now. It's a 12.6 second lead, but through the final corners, Cameron Rich started in second, took the lead away at the start, played the strategy perfectly. He'll come through for his first win of the season and pick up his first checkered flag. Cameron Rich takes victory here in Circuit Gilles Villeneuve.
And coming through the final chicane after just reclaiming second place, it takes a little bit of dirt as well. Robert Hill's going to come home in second. Behind him, Drew Eisenman's going to be a little bit disappointed. Almost had a 1-2 with his teammate, but is going to come home in third. And a little bit ways further behind, actually.
Long way behind. Frankfield's had an issue, I think. Oh. Well, he's going to come through now with Levi Zielinski in the background chasing him, but Frankenfield comes on through. He had a big incident last time, a 1:55 last time through, so he must have gone off course. But Frankenfield will still take away a top 5 finish. And he'll eat in slightly to the lead on Matt Grunberg in the points. Levi Zielinski comes home for a solid top 5, but Matt Grunberg, your points leader tonight. That truck kind of beaten and banged up a bit after those first couple laps, but he comes through, takes home 6th, a decent result for that vehicle.
Yeah, now Morris, who also pit, he's going to come on right behind Grunberg in 7th. Almost caught him. Probably would have caught him if there was one more lap.
Cameron Rich wins this race, but we're watching Kevin Finn now work his way through the final corner. A bit of a messy jump over the curbs. He has to give up some time here. He might lose this position, and he will.
Oh, and he does.
Race Clark will finish 8th. Kevin Finn will come home 9th. Buddy McCorkle, he's still got a whole straightaway left, but he might steal a top 10 here as well after battling for a long time to get that top 10 spot.
Yeah, just actually got around Sam Close this lap.
But gotta make it through the final corner. Oh, is he out of...
Here comes Close.
Oh, yeah, Close will go right back around, so either McCorkle had a slowdown or is he out of fuel? He's under power. Nope, he's out of fuel. So McCorkle is just gonna get it back to the start-finish line, maybe. Sam Close beats him there, but he's the McCorkle's last driver on the lead lap, so he's gonna get there regardless. And checker flag in the air, but Cameron Rich doing his burnouts, Finian. Was quick at Watkins Glen, didn't get it done, but quick here tonight and finally does. No surprises here. He's a road course ace for sure, Robert Hill Jr. A valiant effort, but not good enough tonight to beat that 17.
Yeah, indeed, and a great run for him. That's going to give him a big boost in points, as he's currently back in 11th, so he'll only climb up further up the ladder after a great result here.
And still a big celebration for that 17. Here's a look at the race results. Zielinski, a top 5. That's a good run for him. Of course, Chad Frankenfield, a disappointing result maybe after running a bit higher than 4th, but can't be disappointed with that after the night he had. Grunberg 6th. But a lot of drivers DNF'd, Finian. We had only 20 drivers finish within the top 4 laps of the leader. From 21st on back, it was all 13 laps down and greater. So and those drivers were Samasso, Adams, Jadrosich, Derbyshire, Klooster, Zimmer, Johnny Thomas, Hanshaw, Schroeder, and Velez and Simmons. This one was definitely a race of attrition.
Oh yeah, absolutely was. And I mean, I guess looking back in hindsight, it's not too hard to see why that is. Very tight course here. But Cameron Rich is the guy who's able to make it in on top with quite a bit of a lead too.
All right, we'll jump to break momentarily. We'll be back with your winner and a couple others. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back live to Sim TV. After that short break, we're here now with Drew Eisenman, who finished 3rd tonight in the number 77 Chevrolet Silverado. Drew, that truck looked great out there. 3rd place tonight. Robert Hill Jr. just got you in the closing laps, but still a podium for you and a win for your teammate. Gotta be happy with how tonight went.
Yeah, overall, I think I had 3rd place pace. Robert had to make an extra pit stop. So, I mean, I was just trying to hold it together that last lap. He was so much faster. I just made a little slip on that left-hander. He took advantage, and basically that was that, barring a major mistake from him. But yeah, I mean, can't complain with 3rd, especially with Cameron winning. Good to see those Eisen design schemes on the podium. But yeah, I mean, it's one of my favorite tracks. It's always fun, even if you're not competing for the win. So I had a blast tonight.
Looking at the schedule here, we were at Eldora last week, Montreal this week. We head to Dirt Charlotte next week. This is a kind of a very interesting 3-week stretch in our schedule. Has this been, have you kind of enjoyed the wild schedule, or are you one that generally prefers like 1.5 mile racetracks and normal short tracks?
No, give me as much of this as possible. I haven't been able to race a ton, just scheduling wise. During the summer, schedule opens up, so hopefully I can do a lot more. But yeah, I mean, like Eldora, Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, dirt track at Charlotte. We got the Roval, I think, somewhere on the schedule. Or we got Sonoma Rally. We got Myrtle Beach. I mean, I think the schedule is great because it offers a variety. It's not just the same tracks year after year, all the time. I love it.
Absolutely. Well, Drew, a great result for you and your team. Podiums for both you guys. And Race Clark, of course, finished down in 8th place. So a great result for you. Thanks for talking to us, and we'll see you later.
All right. Thanks, Kyle.
Absolutely. All right, next we're going to talk to 2nd place finisher Robert Hill Jr., driving the number 38 vehicle tonight. Robert, wasn't a victory. You started on pole, but started on driver's left, which ultimately led you ended up in 2nd after that first lap. But Cameron Rich just a slippery one to catch, but a 2nd place finish, that's still got to be a pretty good result for you this week.
Yeah, definitely happy with P2. I wasn't really thinking there on the start. Should have taken the right side, but it is what it is. We worked our butts off. almost ran out of gas there towards the end, so we decided to pit, and it ended up paying off for us with a P2 finish.
Okay, so last time when you won at Watkins Glen, you told us you weren't good at road courses. I vehemently disagree. So your 2 road course races, you finished first and second. We got a couple more left on the schedule. One of the ones I have a question mark, though, is Sonoma Rally. Have you done any practice for that? Are you kind of eyeing that one as one you might win? I mean, I'm kind of curious because you're so good at the road courses, how you feel like you're going to do at Sonoma Rally.
That'll definitely be an interesting one. Haven't tested yet. We're gonna take advantage of a couple off weeks coming up and definitely do some laps there. Not sure what to expect really. I don't think anyone knows what to expect.
And of course, Dirt Charlotte next week. We weren't around for Eldora last week, but what's your feelings and opinions heading into Dirt Charlotte? Is that a very different race from Eldora, or are you going to feel like that's pretty much the same as you did last week?
It's going to be similar the way the truck handles on the dirt. I think we can definitely be a top 10 truck next week. I don't think we'll be competing for the win, but you really never.
All right, well, a second place result for the 38 of Robert Hill Jr. Robert, thanks for talking to us, and we'll see you next week.
See you guys. Thank you so much for tonight.
Absolutely. All right, now we're going to talk to winner Cameron Rich. Cameron, well, I can't say I'm surprised seeing that 17 in victory lane. Started second, got driver's right. Are you surprised that Robert Hill didn't take that driver's right spot for the start?
Well, I don't know. I was too busy trying to get my butt back to my car because I had to go use the restroom before the race. So I was like, I wasn't really thinking about that. Just kind of almost missed the start there. It just, it really seemed like he didn't really get off to a great start. Like he started in second or something. So I don't know what went on there, but just kind of sent it in there, and it sticks. Or it stuck, so it's pretty good.
As for the rest of the race, a dominant night for you in that number 17. Dominance that you didn't get to show at Watkins Glen. But as we head through the rest of the season, other road courses on the schedule, Sonoma Rally, expectations for those wins again, or are you just planning to run top 5 in those?
Sonoma Rally is going to be a bit of a wild card. I don't know if really road course experience is going to help there. Of course, dirt and road courses, mix them together. So with these trucks, who the hell knows what's going to happen. But obviously, I want to win as many races as I can. I've had a pretty bad year so far to this point. Was running pretty well at Eldora and got involved something late and just missed a race because of my own fault and just haven't really ran up to my expectations. So I really need to claw some points back and get it back into this thing.
All right, Cameron. Well, a win at Montreal. We'll see you later off in the season. Hopefully we'll see you next week as well, Cameron. But thanks for talking to us, and congrats on another victory.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, Finian. Well, no surprises there for the winner tonight, but all in all, a very strange race. Typically, the road course races with stock cars or stock trucks, we typically see them be a lot closer than this, but big margins, some strategy at the end there that we didn't expect to see. But all in all, the typical guys we're seeing at the front, Cameron Rich, Robert Hill Jr., Chad Frangenfield, Matt Gruenberg, all guys I expect to see up there as we head to other road course races later this season, but we head to dirt next week. Dirt, road course, dirt, that's a heck of a 3-week stretch there, so expectations for next week, who are you looking at to be the best?
I think definitely it's got to be the favorite, the guy who won last week at a dirt check. I think the 54 Matt Gruenberg. I think obviously the definite favorite going into the end of the regular season. He's already got a significant lead over everyone else. 58 points. He's going to lose a few points this week, but I think he'll be able to gain quite a few more before the regular season ends.
All right, that's going to do it for us tonight. We have Fuel Host Venom Cup Series action from ISM Raceway on Tuesday night at 9 o'clock. And then I think that's it for us until Friday, Virtual Racing League, which I don't know where they are. I'm taking a look real quick. We're going to be at, the Charlotte Roval.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so that's what's coming up this Friday. We'll see you there. And we'll see you on Tuesday as well at ISM Raceway for the penultimate race of the 2019 Fuel Host Venom Cup Series. Thanks for watching, and have a great night.